Hello everyone, this is Atul Patrikar with Sai Patrikar. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to build a SQL report that tracks users login activity and menu usages count for each user on a yearly basis. So this type of user is very useful for monitoring employee activity, auditing system usages and business analysis. Okay, so the requirement is like you can see we received one email from the business. So email like is like, hi team, the subject is user story and users activity report. Okay, so we need a report that shows how users log in and the count of menu usages for each user. This will help us track employee activity on a daily basis, group by user. So below is a sample output format for the required report. So you can see they have provided the sample report like user ID, username, and they required the pivot column. Okay, so for example, in the menu table we have this as a row: home menu, account menu, and transaction menu. But they need to convert this row into the column. So in this, we need to use a pivot in our SQL server query, our SQL query. Okay, so user story USTR 000. So we have created this user story to track this report development activity from your end. Sorry. Please let us know if you need any additional details or clarification. Thanks, business. Okay. So now the first thing is we required some tables. Okay. So for this demo, I am using a temporary declarable variable table. Okay. So we are creating a two part of this video. In the first part of video we are showing only the static part. Okay, static part in the sense we are placing the menu manually in that select statement, and the part 2 is we are adding that we are creating a dynamic parting. Okay, dynamic parting. So in that dynamic script we don't need to include a manual menu names in that script. Okay, so now for this video I'm going with the static SQL query. So now the first thing is I am creating. Okay, so I'm creating one table. So one user table. Okay, declare @tbl underscore user table, and the column name is user id, integer identity, primary key, not null, and username varchar 200. Okay, now I'm inserting a few records in the sense we are going to insert these records: SIP, Swaraj P, and Sharayu P. Okay, @tbl user uname values SIP sorry Swaraj P and Sharayu P. Sharayu Patrikar, Sai Patrikar, Swaraj Patrikar, and Sharayu Patrikar. In the next step, I'm going to create menu table, declare @tbl underscore menu. So we have this master menu master table. Menu id integer, identity 1 comma 1, primary key and not, menu name and varchar 200, and menu is active, the bit for 01 for true false. Now again I am going to insert a record in menu table. Okay, so menu name is home, is active true. Oh sorry, I need to include the column name actually. Menu name and m is active and values. Okay, home menu. Okay, home account and transaction. Okay, account menu, transaction menu. Okay, so we have added these three menus in the menu table. So the next table we have the user history table. Okay, so we are logging all the history in this table. tbl underscore user history table, uhid integer, identity, primary key, not null, uid integer, mid integer, and login date time, date time. Okay, so now inserting few records in this table. Insert into @tbl user history. Okay. Column name is uid, mid, and login date, and the value is say Patrikar accessing home menu when get date -10. Okay, so it will be just -10 days. For example, today days is date is 20, today's date is today's date is 14, so it will -10 from the 14, like it displaying the previous month of date. Okay, so I'm just copying this. Now the next is again say Patrikar is accessing the account menu as well, -5 comma Swaraj Patrikar accessing the transaction menu, Sharayu Patrikar accessing home menu, then again Swaraj is also accessing home menu, and Again, Sai Patrika is also accessing home menu. Okay, so you can see this one is user ID for Sai from this table user, and this one is menu ID from this menu table. Okay, like this we have adjust that records. Okay, now here you can see we have inserted a record, not inserted record, we are just creating a variable table. Okay, so we can execute this all script in one time. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to write a script. Okay, so we can achieve this type of sample report. Okay, now first thing is select star from. I'm using subquery for this. Select star from @tbl user u join @tbl history on u dot user id equal to dot user id. Join @tbl menu m on m dot mid equal to us dot mid. So from this we required the user id from user table, username from user table, menu id from menu table, and menu name from menu table. And we need also the year for login dot login date time year. Okay, so the source. Okay, now I'm writing here the padding, pat open close bracket. Okay, so we need a count. Okay, so count like this. So say Patrick are accessing this home menu two times, account menu one time, like this. We need to get a count. Okay, for this I'm using this count function. So you can use count, sum and aggregate function here, and the data type must be the integer. Okay, so non-integer value you cannot use the non-integer value in this count function. If you trying to use, it will throw error. Okay, menu name in. Okay, so now we need to add this menu here: home menu, account menu, and transaction menu. Transaction the alias is X. Okay, so now okay, now I'm just trying to execute this. Before that we'll use the specific columns that we required in that report: username, username is the menu id, mid, m.mid and m.mid. Oh, sorry, we don't require menu id here. Okay, here and x dot home menu, x dot account menu, x dot transaction. Okay, okay. So now here you can see we got the sample output. Okay, so let me just cross check this output is proper or not. Okay, SIP accessing home menu 2 times. Okay, let me just format this. Okay, here. Okay, for account menu it's showing 3 times 2. Okay, let me check here. Mm, okay, let me include this column as well here. Not required actually. So now I need to check this. So say Patrikar is accessing home menu here, then here as well. Okay, this is correct. Say Patrikar is accessing the account menu. Okay, so here that is correct. Okay, so you can see our output is perfect. Like say Patrikar access this menu 2 times, this account 1 time. Okay, now I'm going to add a one more entry in the login history table. Okay, for Sharu Pisharu, Patrikar is also accessing the transaction menu. Okay, so the transaction menu is 1 2 3. Okay, now I'm going to add here one more entry for Sharayu. So Sharayu user ID is 3 and transaction ID is also 3 and -3. Now you can see. Okay, now you can see one more transaction ID is showing here. Now I'm also adding one more entry here. Okay, for same for transaction, so it will be 2. Okay, so now our output is correct, our logic is also correct. Okay, so just now I am trying to include one more column here. Okay, profile and is active 1, and I am also adding this menu here and also in the main select statement also here. Okay, no, so comma is missing. Okay, so now you can see new menu is also added here, but no one is access the profile menu. Now I am adding one more entry for profile menu to Sai Patrikar. Okay, so one menu ID is 1. Now you can see here it will increase by 1. Okay, so now you can see the 1. Yes, so we achieve our requirement. We have completed our requirement. So in the next part I will show you how to create this SQL script by using the dynamic query. Okay, if in future there is any admin added the menu here, so we don't need to include that menu name here, because currently we have added this static menu name here. For dynamic we don't require to add here, so uh, it will automatically take all the menus and it will display in below query. Okay, so I will show you this in the second part. So the the requirement is clear. So we have added which users logged in which year, and how many times each menu was accessed. Okay, so we have added this also. And like logic explanation is like we have extracted the year from the uh, last login date. Okay, so in this we not use any group by clause, but if required we need to include that group by clause as well here. Okay, we have joined these multiple tables here, these three tables here: history table, menu table, and user table in this script. So this approach allow us to add more menus easily in the future, but not for this script, actually in the dynamic script. Okay, so I will show you in the next video. So this report can be used for employee activity tracking, internal audits, and application usage analytics and management dashboard. So you can also export this data to Excel or integrate into your Power BI report. So that's it for today's video. If you find this tutorial helpful, like the video, comment if you want the full SQL script, and subscribe for more SQL and backend tutorials. So thanks for watching. I will see you in next video. So our next video is dynamic Payat with the same requirement. Thank you.